It is important to learn lessons from the past, but you do not live your life in the past. Learn from the past and move on. Yesterday ended last night. Don't let yesterday kill you today. It's time to kiss your past goodbye. It's time to kiss your past goodnight. It's time to share the benediction over your past, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It's time to move on maximally into your future. The errors of yesterday may be responsible for the pains of yesterday. Become wiser today and move on. Stop living today thinking that yesterday will repeat itself. Well, if that's how you think, you have automatically invited yesterday into your today. So it's important for you to just let go of the past and let God. Don't complicate the life of an innocent person with the things that have happened to you in the past. Don't allow an innocent man or woman become an object of suspicion because of what somebody did to you in the past. That was then, this is now. That was him, this is somebody else. Relationship matters. And next to God, you need the right people in your life. Write that down. Next to God, you need the right people in your life. It's important to always remember that as a very powerful principle in your life. You can start small things all alone by yourself, but you cannot build big things by yourself. So the recipe for smallness is to go alone. And if it has to be great, you have to go with others. Can I say that again? I think you need to hear that. The recipe for smallness is to try to go through life or do life alone. It's a recipe for smallness. If you want anything to remain small, do it alone. But if it's going to be big, then you need to get others on board. You need to get people on board. If you want to build a family, you can build a family just by yourself. It's important for you to know that if it has to be a family, then you need the interplay of others. Most importantly, you need the interplay of who is going to be your wife, your husband, and all of that. It's important to know that the recipe for smallness is to go alone. And if you're going to build anything big, you need to learn to partner with people. I know that you're gifted, you're talented, but never forget this. Talent is not enough. Relationship is very powerful. I've seen highly talented people who don't value relationships. I've seen how that because they are so talented and they have now developed what to call the liability of charisma, or the liability of being talented, meaning their talent has now become their liability. Their charisma has now become their liability. I've seen people like that who ignore relationships. I've seen how that they have a lead on their lives and can do so much. In essence, you rise to the extent to which you relate. Write that down. You rise to the extent to which you relate. Two are better than one. The Bible says it so. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 in verse 9 to verse 12. The Bible says two are better than one. Everybody take note of this. Two are better than one. This is what God himself said. Two are better than one. Solomon, the wisest man, also knows how powerful that is. Two are better than one. If you ask Elijah, the most powerful man of God who once lived in the Old Testament, Elijah will tell you how that it is dangerous to do life alone. It is dangerous to do life alone. Elijah brought down fire from heaven, and after he brought down fire from heaven, that man had nobody to relate with, no one to pat him on the back, no one to say you did a fantastic job. That man had nobody to say you're such a strong and gifted man of God. There was no voice of affirmation in the life of Elijah. And the Bible says when he heard the voice of the wife of Ahab, Jezebel, the Bible says Elijah went into the wilderness and became so depressed that Elijah began to say to God, look, it's better you kill me. Well, how could a man of God so anointed go so low and be wishing himself death? Why? He was doing life alone. He was doing life alone. The Bible says two are better than one. Two are better than one. You cannot be better than all of us. One of us cannot be better than all of us. Write that down. One of us cannot be better than all of us. Together, everyone makes great things to happen. Together, everyone makes great things to happen. So it is critical for you to understand the importance of people and relationships in your life. Value relationships and you will be inviting greatness. What did I just say right now? Write that down too. Value relationships and you will be inviting greatness. 5 things you must never forget about relationship. I share this every time when I teach. 5 things you must never forget about relationships. Number 1, relationship is the gateway to fellowship, intimacy, and disclosure. It's the gateway to disclosure. It is the gateway to fellowship. It is a gateway to intimacy. In essence, the more you relate to people, the more you get to know about people. The more you relate with an individual, the more you get to know, the more the individual is able to share. So the deeper the relationship, the deeper the disclosure. In essence, you get to know as much as you relate. The better you are at relating, the more you get to find out things. People don't share secrets with people they are not comfortable with. So if someone is going to give you secrets that will enable you to succeed in life, relationship must become the undergirding factor. Number 2, relationships are not of equal value. Human beings are of great value to God, but all human beings are not of equal value in relationship with you. Your wife's value in relationship to you, or your husband's value in relationship to you or with you, is totally different from the value that someone who is not your husband holds. Your mother's value is different. Your father's value is different. So relationships are not of equal value. Write that down, please. Relationships are not of equal value. Therefore, you must decide who qualifies for the investment of your most precious time. Relationships are not of equal value. Therefore, you must decide who is worthy of the investment of your most precious time. Everybody is not worthy of your most precious time. It is a value of the relationship that decides the quality of time you share with some individuals. Jesus modeled that before us. Jesus spent a greater part of his time with his disciples and lesser part of the time with the crowd, because relationships are not of equal value. Number 3, write this down. Relationship influences the flow of wisdom and the outcomes of your life. Relationship decides the inflow of wisdom and the outflow of the works that you desire to see, or the outcomes of your life. Relationship decides the inflow of wisdom and the outflow of the outcomes of your life. In essence, the inflow of wisdom will decide the outflow of the results you want to see in your life. And you get wisdom through relationship. 1, relate with God. If anyone lack wisdom, let him ask, and God will give. Number 2, he that walks with the wise shall become wise. So relationship with God gives you access to wisdom. Relationship with wise people also gives you access to wisdom. I'm very sure you know that by interacting with us right now, you are having access to wisdom. All right? So that is what relationship does. It gives you access to wisdom. It minimizes your foolishness and eliminates most of your errors. Number 4, relationship decides the flow of favor into your life or out of your life. Who you relate with can either bring favor into your life or send favor out of your life. That's why you have to be very careful who you marry. We're meant to understand that Jonah got on board a ship in Jonah chapter 1, and the moment Jonah entered into their ship, they began to suffer turbulence, they began to suffer storms, and as a result of which, all the things that the merchants had bought, they started losing them. They started throwing them into the sea, because someone who is just the wrong person came on board with them, and as a result of which they began to suffer losses. Check it out. If you begin to relate to someone and from that moment you begin to suffer great losses, it is important for you to know that you are relating with someone who is beginning to cause the outflow of favor in your life. Because favor can come into your life or exit your life if you're not careful, because of the kind of relationships you keep. Number 5, relationships are specific in function. Relationships are specific in function, meaning you must be wise enough to understand the differences that individuals bring into your life. Never try to make someone who is your introducer become your provider. Never try to make your provider become your introducer. Never try to make your intercessor become your encourager. In the same vein, when you marry your husband, you marry your wife, please always remember your wife is your wife. She is not your secretary. Your husband is your husband. He is not your trainer in the gym. It is dangerous for you to try to confuse the functions of the people that God sends to you. You frustrate the people that God sends to you by not understanding what their assignments are in your life. Can I say that again? You frustrate the people that God sends into your life by not recognizing the assignment that God has sent them into your life for. All right, so 7 things you must never do in relationship or in marriage. 7 things you must never do or say in relationship or marriage. So few things that I think will really bless you today or help you as you navigate the path of marriage and relationship. Never ignore the negative patterns you see in a person because of the hidden potentials in view. Never ignore the negative patterns that you see in a person because of the hidden potentials that you have in view. Yes, he is one day likely going to be a governor. That's a potential. One day he's going to be a great preacher. That's a potential. One day he's going to be one of the most popular singers. That's a potential. One day he's going to be one of the best-selling authors. That's a potential. One day he's going to be a nice father. That's a potential. Hey, listen, you don't build your marriage on potential alone. It's important that you give attention to patterns. Give attention to patterns. Patterns are predictable and repeatable ways of behavior. Don't ignore the behavior of the person because you are so preoccupied with the fact that the person is one day going to be an amazing woman and a great man and all of that. If you ignore the negative patterns that you see, the repeatable behaviors that hurt you so badly, you ignore them because of the potential of the person, then the danger usually is that you may never get to the potential because of the pattern. You can never change the problem in your relationship until you change the pattern. Patterns drives problems. Number 2, write this down quickly. Never to do's in relationship. Never abuse the gift of access. Never abuse the gift of access that God has given you to the person that God has connected to you. Never abuse the gift of access that God has given to you with the person that God connected to you. Never take your partner for granted. Never take your partner for granted. Never take the gift of access to a person. Never take it for granted. Never betray the trust that has been given to you. Never betray the confidence that has been reposed on you. Never violate and never destroy the gift of access. It is very critical that if relationships will go on for a long time and be healthy, we must never violate the gift of access or trust that individuals bequeath us with. Number 3, write this down. Never be quick to expose the weakness of your partner publicly. Never be too quick to expose publicly the weakness of your partner that you have observed privately. Never be too quick to expose publicly the weakness of your partner that you observed privately. If you observed a weakness or you observe a weakness in your partner, someone you're relating with, because we all do have our weaknesses. None of us is God. None of us will ever be God. We are all striving towards perfection. And so there are inherent weaknesses there are acquired weaknesses, there are weaknesses generated by environments which compromises from time to time the integrity of an individual. If you observe a weakness, I'm not talking about a sin. If you observe a weakness in your partner privately, you do not go to the public to talk about it until you have engaged your partner privately, and then walk with the person only when the person is trying to be heady, stubborn, unwilling to change, even after recognizing the fact that such a weakness is inherent, acquired, or present. Only when the person is acting in a very stubborn way, unwilling to listen to you, only then can you get another person on board, as the Bible recommends. So don't forget this. It is not wisdom to take the private weaknesses of your partner to the public domain. It doesn't help relationships, because long after the issue has been resolved, the public don't change their opinion about, or their perspective about, your partner. Number 4, never let what you hear about your partner change your perspective immediately about the person without your personal inquisition, observation, interaction, and investigation. Never be too quick to believe what people say about your partner without you making the investigation, inquisition. You don't have the patience to inquire. You don't have the patience to observe. You don't have the patience to interact. It's like you are ready to hear and believe outsiders concerning your partner than you even believe your partner. So here's the point. Make sure that you are slow to act on what you hear. So if you hear something about your partner, don't jump into conclusions, don't jump into reactions. Be patient enough to investigate, to confirm, and confront the person with meekness and love before you take other steps, and they must be well advised. Number 6, never economize or withhold the need to express your appreciation or gratitude to your partner. Never economize when it comes to the expression of gratitude. Never withhold your gratitude from your partner. Never withhold your gratitude from your partner. Don't say, well, in my heart I'm saying thank you. No. If somebody has been nice to you, please verbalize your gratitude. Express your gratitude. Gratitude must be expressed if it has to be gratitude. You can't be telling me you don't know how much I really value you in my heart. You show it. All right? So if a woman has been so nice to you, someone you're in a relationship with, you value her so much, show it. It's called PDA, public display of affection. You cannot say you love me and not display it. For God so loved that he gave. He showed it. So the proof of love is not just in words, but in deeds. Number 7, never let your voice be the only voice that is heard and that dominates your relationship. Never let your voice be the only voice that is heard and that dominates your relationship. Never let the decisions made in your relationship represent only your own decision. Meaning, the decisions we make in the relationships are always yours. Why? You dominate the entire relationship. There's a limit to which another person will allow you to subjugate them, dominate them. After a while, individuals will rebel. Who are trusting God for marriage, who are trusting God for breakthroughs, careers, or career turnaround, healings, whatever the case may be. We're looking forward to connect with you and your family members.
Be lifted above all other gods. Tonight we lay our crowns and worship. Lift your voice and sing tonight. Say, oh, be lifted Let him hear your voice. Come on.
Love another God.